On our podcast show today, we are welcoming back a guest that we talked to last year at Taiwan at the COMPUTEX Taipei show. We are back at COMPUTEX Taipei, and we have an opportunity to speak to him again with some more leanings towards his thoughts and musings about AI, because the theme of the show this year is about AI. And it's interesting to note that Rob isn't one of the full-on like AI everyday people. He's actually got some reservations about it, and I think it's worth exploring those reservations, especially in a case industry where there's a lot of different ways of skinning the same cat over and over again.
Same thing,
but it's proven that Rob is his company has done things differently, and it's paid off in spades. But none of that has been thanks to AI. So, Rob Teller, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, HYTE, what has happened since we last spoke?
Yes, we'd like to find out.
I think the last time I was here, I leaked that we were making a Y70.
Yes.
But I didn't say anything about the Y70 Touch. And that had gone on to be our fastest selling product ever. The fastest selling product I'd ever made at any company. And that
sold out.
Yeah, you guys, I know both of you guys were looking to get one, and we literally had none.
That's a good problem to have.
It's the most expensive, fastest selling product I'd ever made.
Most expensive, but fastest selling.
At $360. And we were selling, I think, twice as much as a Y60 per month.
Wow.
And that was just the beginning, and then we ran out. Like we sold so many, we genuinely don't know what the real run rates would have been if we had it in stock, if we were able to maintain inventory, because it just blew through so quickly.
Did anyone at your organization say, "Hey, Rob, maybe we should make a few more"? Did anyone come up and say that?
The thing is, I mean, it's frustrating because, second, you want to be polite as well. Thank you for your suggestion. It's really, we're gonna try that. We're gonna try. But the LCD screen industry is so massive and complicated. In fact, I spent a couple days in China visiting LCD manufacturing facilities, and they're the size of Disneyland. Like they are campuses of factories with machines. Do you remember Wall-E, the big Wall-Es that are down in the incinerator? Like
yes.
That's what these machines look like. God. That move these big panes of glass substrate back and forth to these different process nodes to put all these different colors of etching in there so light passes through. It's difficult to just make more of that when they stop making, or when they decide that they don't want to make more, because even though our run rates are huge compared to the run rates that are required to set up the machinery to be able to produce the thing, it's minuscule.
Yeah.
And also we were sort of piggybacking off of an existing panel that had already been made for, I think it was an Asus 4K laptop screen that was above the keyboard. Asus was done with that, and we didn't have the power to say, hey, let's keep the machines going. We'll buy these screens. And also they were horribly expensive. We did not expect we were going to sell as many as we did. The pricing was set up in a way that it would be good for marketing if we came to the market aggressive. And some people think that it was our plan to sell out so that we would have just started at a much higher price so we could sell them for several years comfortably, just sell less of them, but we would make far more money.
These screens, by the way, are not just LCD screens, they're touch screens.
Touch screens. And these were very advanced touch screens. Asus had spent an inordinate amount of money to make these these were 4K, IPS, 10-finger multi-touch panel. Like it was the bleeding edge of the bleeding edge for LCD panels. And they just had a bunch of them left over, and it just happened to fit. And it was just very, very perfect coincidence. So we couldn't turn those back on. So we had to go, and actually we have been working with two different factories with two separate timelines to see which one will come to market first. And then also if that one gets EOL, that we have another source to continue to do these screens. I think we spent more money on this than we've ever spent. We had to outlay $1 million just up front to talk to the factory to get them to do a project with us. Like $1 million up front spent so that we could work with them.
Wow.
And that for us is generally more for an average case. That's usually more than it costs to manufacture a whole case.
Holy crap.
So, and we had already spent all of that money on the Y70. So Y70 Touch and then the Y70 Touch Infinite was basically the cost of doing an entirely new development project.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And we launched it here at COMPUTEX.
Yes.
And sales, thankfully, are going very, very well. The reception has been very good. It's been very stressful. And we're all very relieved to see it.
So are the inventory back up to the levels, the stock levels?
No. We are literally just beginning production.
Okay.
We will be air shipping as many as we can. We're doing introductory pricing for people who have bought Y70s already, so that because these screens are actually more expensive than the 4K screens.
Wow.
So even though they're 2.5K, they're not leftover inventory that we bought up just because it's been sitting that they had a motive to sell. These cost us more money.
Oh, right. So if you have a Y70 non-touch, you'll be able to replace the window with one of these screens.
Yes.
So you have an add-on upgrade that you can actually buy.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Because I want one of those.
Yep. We're happy to send those out. We launched those. We launched some new colors, which actually got more attention than the new touchscreens, which is very rare.
You have a pink one down there.
We have a pink one. We're calling it strawberry milk.
Okay.
Milk, and blueberry milk. HYTE as a brand has a large amount of I don't know the right term to throw at it, but a lot of our customers are women. I think an inordinate amount of customers for our brand are women. If you were to compare that to
yeah, that's right, because you see a lot of the streamers out there, and they love the Y70, Y60, Y70. I don't know why, but they have it at every stream. They are like
It's the aesthetic.
Yeah.
I think the modern aesthetic.
And also, you mentioned the collaboration with the anime.
Yeah, we're partnered with HoloLive for the VTubers, and we're partnered with HoYoverse for Genshin Impact and Honko Star Rail. And I think that there's just this fit. Coming out of COVID, there were a lot of new people introduced to PC gaming, PCs in general, not just for gaming, for Photoshop, Illustrator, 3D Works, rendering, design, all that sort of stuff. And our products fit to a commitment of an aesthetic that I think we take it very seriously. And to other people who take how their room looks, how their room makes them feel, how does the setup inspire them to do their work? How do they get themselves to come and sit down at a desk and feel happy about what they're about to do and not just I'm locked to my computer type of vibes? And I think we're very committed to making you feel good about the products that you use and the experiences that you have, and that attracts the types of people who are also very serious about making that work for them too.
I don't, you know what? When I go into my work desk, I have this kind of rush, and then when I press the button, it's just something about it that makes me go.
It's like click.
It's an enormous amount of power.
Yeah, it's really invigorating, right? It's like press that button and the lights come on.
You're going fast. You're starting a fast vehicle to go fast. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally. Yeah. You're going to contact. You have the ability to contact with millions of other people instantaneously. It's the precipice of power.
What I like about the touchscreen is that you can program it to whatever you want on it. It's like chat stuff, all that kind of stuff. You can do your monitoring of your system's health.
You can have Slack running on it.
You just program it to whatever you want. It's really good. I like that.
And our software, we are building widgets so that it's accessible. I think there have been touch screens. There's definitely screens that are getting popular, but without the touch interface, it's cool for a while.
I don't think the touch gives you that interactivity, right?
Yes,
it does.
I think you've got a touch screen here on the road.
You've got a touch screen right here, and I think it's fantastic. It gives me so much more, and so many more permutations to interact with the device.
And if it weren't a touch screen, it would still be a screen, and you could still look at it, and you could still get information one directionally.
Absolutely.
But the utility of it is just far less useful.
I use it a lot more as a shortcut to many things I already know, like even shortcuts. Flipping between your mic channels and everything like that. I know what you're doing. I can see that you're in the rails, which means that you're going to sound amazing. So I'm just looking at that, right? So that's all we do with this stuff. But I don't think I told you guys this last time because this was after you launched the Y70. I showed the video of the launch to my son, my sons, both of them. And the young ones obviously, like that looks so cool. Oh, look at the emojis. Can you put a poop on there? And then my other son, who's a little bit older, he's 10. He was 10 at the time. He's like, wow, that is aesthetic. And he used that word. I'm like,
aesthetic.
Yeah, he literally.
It's a wild thing where like 20 years ago, that's a very ethereal concept.
Yeah.
It's something you didn't quite know you were even paying attention to. And now it's in the zeitgeist. It's part of the Anthropocene.
Yeah.
It is the new luxury.
Yeah. Like he's like pretty like, he's like you. And I hope he's more like you eventually, because I would love to have a son like you. Thank you. Uncle. But he's super mellow. And then all of a sudden his eyes just got really big. And he's like, oh, like he just like looked at the Y70. He's like, oh,
say, Dad, when are we going to build a PC?
Right? It's like, it's in his head. He's a Minecraft guy. He builds like architectural looking stuff that I don't even know how he does it half the time. But he just like, oh, it gave him an oh moment.
I mean, and I think that's a really good segue into the concept of imagination and creativity, right? Like he's seeing things that he wants through the filter of his mind, and coming up with these new ideas without the random generation of an AI application to fulfill his wishes. Like it's kind of like, I know we're diving straight into the AI thing, but do you remember there's a scene in The Simpsons where Bart like tries to have an imagination? He's so bored in class and he's like, I'll just dream of something to keep me entertained. And all he could dream about is the TV. And because the TV has fulfilled that pipeline of creativity into his brain, the AI is sort of the new TV in a way that it's just
it's also a tool as well too, so it depends on how you use it. I mean, a lot of people out there in production right now, it's just sped up the number of options and scripts and everything that they could actually produce. That just gets the production pipeline faster because you have to please a number of clients, a number of steps and everything. They're just getting through that process a lot faster.
It raises the floor.
The floor. Like, I mean, before you would have to wait a couple months until you got a call for auditions on this particular commercial. Now they're shooting the same script 3 or 4 different ways in the same week, right? It's just so much faster these days.
And so I think AI inherently will raise the floor, but it doesn't inherently raise the ceiling.
No.
And so it's up to the people and how they're going to use it and their taste and their own commitment to the work ethic. How can they use this thing that raises the floor to ultimately raise the ceiling of an experience? And I think that's the thing everybody's sort of like hand waving about it.
AI, was the topic of this COMPUTEX. Anything in particular you think that you're interested in?
AI? How do you see the intersection of your industry and AI kind of moving? Because we've seen other people kind of given their ideas. Like we saw Gigabyte trying to sell good, better, best in AI.
Mostly for creators,
Mostly for creators, doctors, and all these offices that you can have this AI device box in your house or in your practice. So I mean, that obviously affects you as well too, because now they're hopefully going to have some work with cases and whatnot go in there. But I don't know, like
cases especially. I don't know, but I think like any industry that booms, it needs to look like a gold rush to the consumer. It needs to look like a gold rush. If it looks like a grind, if it looks like this is maybe if you're excellent at it, you can do something with it, and possibly if you're a savant, it will change the lives of others because you can wield it so successfully. That's not going to appeal to anybody. So it needs to sound like AI is here. You were dumb and now you're smart because you have AI, and I have AI, and this is great because I had AI to make it. And
have you used some of the social media stuff lately?
I won't touch the AI social
Some
media.
of the stuff you can now post a picture, and I can't remember if it's Facebook or Twitter, one of those, Instagram maybe. It asks you mark it as AI.
Oh, that's
not.
Instagram.
Right, so you can actually
It'll market itself as
Yeah.
AI.
yeah, and it will, even if you don't, you say, oh, it's AI, it's not AI. It will actually scan it and say, oh, it is AI, and it'll just watermark it as AI.
I think it's an age-old type of problem. Is this a photograph or a painting? Well, it's as good as a photograph. Are you sure this isn't a photograph? No, I painted that. I'm an excellent painter. Okay, well, is this AI? Well, no, it looks very, very real because I'm very good with AI. I don't know. It doesn't seem to matter too much to me.
Well, there's also the part of the human psyche. Deep down inside, we know that if you're being fake, we tend to have this negative effect, negative reaction to that.
It's wishful
right?
thinking, though,
Right.
because if you're famous and fake, love you.
Yeah, and then that's assumed. Like it's assumed that this person's fake. We know that it's entertainment to me. But if you're trying to genuinely be authentic with someone, some people have a very negative reaction to that. They can't explain where it came from. They don't know why. But it's like, I need to distance myself from this. Something's wrong.
When I think of AI, the thing I think the most about is marble sculptures, like the Romans sculpting the human body, sculpting softness, sculpting physics into hard marble, and people looking at it and being terrified that they've captured the human form. They've captured a reflection of humanity, and it's so real. And just like listening to a radio broadcast was so real, or seeing someone on television was so real, or the internet, it's like you're chatting with a real person, or VR, it's so real. It's like it occupies all the senses to the depth of perception.
There's dangers.
It's also a training. It's kind of a training tool for us to expand our perception. Part of the reason why your son knows the word aesthetic is because that's just part of it now.
Yeah.
And if you asked your mom about that, she would kind of struggle with it, right? and to her, it was just this vibe. It was a vibe. And now, as we get deeper and deeper down the tunnel of time and progression, the tools that we get to replicate the experiences that we think are real only continue to reveal to us how this is not completely real.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a vaccine in a way, and that's how I keep looking at it. When ChatGPT came out that week, and what was the graphic, the picture one?
There's ChatGPT, and
No, it's
it was
something verse. I can't remember what it's called.
That's how quickly it's fallen out of my attention.
Oh
right?
my God.
But that week when that came out, all you could do is imagine the future being different and like, whoa, this is going to change things. Until you have an idea and you try to do it with the tool and you test the limits and you're like, oh, never mind. I found the limits. Okay. It was magic yesterday. And then I had a plan to use it today and it fell short.
It's funny because AI is not a new thing. It's been around for 10, 15, 20 years, more even. But it's only now that you have the technology, the power, the processing power to actually make it something visual.
I think it's more like this. I think it comes down to access and interface. The regular little humans can talk to this thing and make a picture based on their words.
Again,
right?
It's all about marketing the gold rush.
Yeah.
And if there were 3 processors on the planet that were capable of doing this, it would be heralded as the great terror of our time.
Yeah.
The only way that you can make the public feel that they are a part of this and not at odds with it, right? Like there's already serious concern that people's jobs will be displaced by AI. Think about how much more terrifying that would be if Intel weren't marketing their latest CPU with AI, and AMD marketing their latest CPU with AI, and NVIDIA saying you can have AI at home, either in your processor or up in the cloud.
Yeah.
The democratization of it and the accessibility of it and that push for it to happen now, because the large language model stuff isn't super new. That accessibility is supposed to quell fear. That accessibility is supposed to make you feel empowered that you are getting in on the gold rush too.
There's a couple of versions. The free versions that we can get, that a lot of the manufacturers get to use. It's free. You can. But then now they have Google and all them with more advanced models.
Yeah, you got Gemini's.
They're not allowed to kind of share yet because they're up there and they got government contracts and that kind of stuff, right? So we'll probably eventually get it, but right now the free stuff is a little bit limiting, but still.
We'll get it when they get better stuff.
Yeah,
that's just how it goes. And so I'm not one to wait for the future.
Yeah,
I'm one to take some substance and just imagine it myself. Right? And I'm fortunate enough that works for me.
Yeah, for sure. I just wish in a lot of I've seen the Gigabyte one really the way that they explained it really irks me because all they showed were training. Like, who wants to go around and train your AI all freaking day long and wait 36 hours?
These are definitely bets. These are bets of these companies where it's like, well, the next step is for you to have your own AI, and that AI to be trained on your knowledge, your company's knowledge, so that then you could really take advantage of it in a personal way. But the training is a big part of that solves that sort of uncanny valley of magic.
It's that, do people really have patience for that? That's the only thing, because that romance kind of dies off really fast.
Right? Well, the only thing that really scares me is if AI becomes self-aware.
That's the part
that's scary as hell.
I think the thing I'm more afraid of, and I can't remember the name of the term, but there's a concept that people believe if they are not actively supporting to create the AI, that they will be punished for it. And that those who are here to serve the creation of the AI and bring us closer to the AI singularity, they will be rewarded in the singularity for having done the good deed to bring forward. It's like opening the gates of hell. You'll be rewarded for opening the gates of hell. Those who fight you will suffer hell's wrath, kind of thing. But with AI, I don't remember how I fell down this rabbit hole, but there's certain motives of people, whether it's money or being rewarded by the future, and it's hard to distinguish from these AI people how much they really believe in the self-awareness thing.
Yeah,
because it's great marketing.
Oh yeah,
Google's right now, engineers protest the creation of the chatbot because it became self-aware. You test that chatbot; it was complete dog shit. It was not self-aware. It was not aware of me. It was not aware of anything. It was a random word generator that gets very lucky.
A marketing ploy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Or someone was up way too late, which happens in the programming space. He's like, whoa, what's going on?
Or the substances.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was a touch on the AI, but I'm actually interested in how you actually make products. And you have something like a case fan. It's boring, I know, but you make something different from it, right? And you actually sent me a couple of case fans. They're like not very, not your normal case fans. But it's like a airflow coming out of it. It's like 100 CFM. If you know how 100 CFM.
I think it's 108
CFM.
Yeah.
That's a lot of airflow.
Okay, so let's take it to the office worker level. It's like, those turbo fans, the Honeywell ones? Yeah, it blows way harder.
The fans are 32 millimeters thick, which is 7 millimeters thicker than your average case fan. And they can hit 3,000 RPM, which is also much higher than your average case fan. They're manufactured with a material called fiberglass reinforced liquid crystal polymer that allows them to be more rigid. As you spin a fan, there's actually centrifugal force that spreads the blades out over time.
Right.
So the rigidity is very important, that as you spin it, that it stays there. It doesn't spread out. It doesn't sort of malform. And you can keep the tolerances much tighter, really allowing you to create a much more superior fan. And then on top of that, we have our sequential node network, so that you could just magnetically connect fan to fan to fan. For ours, you can connect a fan to an LED strip to a fan to another LED strip to another fan.
How many devices? 18 devices.
We're up to 18 devices we could do 180 watts off of a single hardware network.
little demo promo video to doing Jenga.
Wow.
The fans.
So if anyone's old school building PCs or heck even pulling apart a Dell for upgrades because their fans died because they were cheap or you want to add new ones, the way that this is all set up is that you don't need a network of wires to weave through your case. You can literally stack these inside. Heck, you can, the way that yours are set up, if you have a system that actually has not the right fittings, you have to Velcro these in place technically, or glue them in place, stack them, and without extra wires, you can just put them in the hub. The hub goes into 12 volt, and you're good to go.
You can run 18 devices off of basically two cables.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
and you can actually plug that into your 4-pin power for the fan, right?
And it's running.
Yeah.
You're off to the races. So simplicity and ease of use is what this type of system is set up as for anyone that is replacing any of their fans. You remember you have to pull all the cables off the motherboard. This alleviates that. Might cost a little bit more, but but by the sounds of it, you're getting way better performance.
You're getting sensor data, you're getting lighting data, you're able to drive the fans, you're able to get all this stuff going through one cable. And I think that's the really big deal. One of the huge innovations, not to go Cybertruck, but the huge innovation with the Cybertruck is all the devices communicate basically over Ethernet.
That's right.
So it used to be that you'd have to have all these cables and you'd have to run power to all the cables. And
the CAN bus.
There was a huge network of your data if you're lucky, and then your power and your ground, and everything's super dumb and everything had to run everything everywhere. The Cybertruck runs basically on Ethernet, and it can do power over Ethernet too.
Yeah.
So you're just plugging things into other things like a network switch, and it cuts down on the complexity, cuts down on the total cost of materials eventually when you sort of hit that tipping point. And that's kind of how we're running this. Whereas if you look at how you build a computer, it's like you have to have these fans, you have to have these LEDs. You don't have to have LED strips, but it's nice to have LED strips. And
Nice.
you end up having all these different types of connections when really they're all mostly 5 volt to 12 volt, and you can just sort of
that's right.
put them all into one standardized form. And I'd really love to see more of that happen in our industry. We're pioneering it with the Nexus Link. Some lesser competitors have done it with lesser links. And I would really like to see us all get together and use some form of standardization. And when I say lesser, I mean that in a very objective sense, that you have to have different boxes to drive different things, which really defeats the purpose of this unification.
The controllers and everything.
Yeah.
I would really like, Steve Burke and Wendell, they've really pushed the idea of open pleb and creating this really standard opportunity to make these limited legacy devices, if we could pull them into the future and come up with standardized connections, standardized protocols, I would love to support that. And we actually publish our full protocols. We give full API access to the end users. So if our software ever goes defunct, if we go out of business, whatever, someone else could pick it up and the hardware doesn't just become e-waste. So that's really important to us.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like what, and this is still a struggle, is that all those smart home companies have gotten together behind the one standard, which eludes me now because no one talks about it because it's not working, because no one wants to do the work.
I haven't bought a smart home device in 5 years. My Ring doorbell isn't even connected to my Wi-Fi. I've got an original Google Nest that's functional and about 20 Xiaomi Wi-Fi light bulbs.
There was two, and it was like HomeKit was the Apple, right?
Zigbee,
and then you got Alexa,
something Wave,
and then Google.
D-Wave.
There was no standardization, like you said.
No, and this new not new anymore. It's like at 1.1 or 1.2 now, and it took them almost 3 years, and the marketing sucks for it.
I mean, part of it's just figuring out how should it be.
Yeah.
The company that comes in with the aggressive standards and requirements like HomeKit, also you find out that it's a huge difficulty to comply with.
Yeah.
And not complete and doesn't support all the features.
Right.
So it might be rigid and uniform and compliant and not do anything that's desirable for end users.
Yeah, and it's nice that they're trying to. I can't even remember what this unifying standard, because everyone signed on, like Amazon, Google, Apple, but I can't even remember the name of it because it's like it's not even on the box most of the time.
And you're sick of it. You're over it.
Yeah,
I wish too much Scrum at this point, and your brain's just like, no, not that one.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a choice. There should be like, buy what you like and everything works together.
Yeah.
Right? How it's designed, the aesthetic, right? How that makes you feel should drive your decision rather than the network.
I mean, there's you got to figure out agriculture before you figure out astronomy. And as much as they market these smart devices, as much as they market AI, they're still figuring out the agriculture for this stuff.
Yeah.
But they market it to you like you're going to the moon. And really,
really, like Elon, he's going to Mars.
you're growing corn.
My God.
Wow.
AI, pros and cons, and
It is. And, with so many of the new products going to be releasing or released already, tell us how difficult it is to actually go from design to actually getting a prototype and then production and then, of course, on a shelf.
I think for us, it's really easier than anyone else. The way our company structure is set up, it's very favorable to innovation, which, if you got the wrong guy at the helm, could be terrible. You could crash the company because you just had a whim and you did it.
Right.
I think for us, I'm very fortunate that I get to be the guy who has whims, and it allows me to just push things forward. Yeah. I don't have to write presentations. I don't have to
spreadsheets and
request things.
PowerPoints.
I don't need to I don't need to wait for the quarterly meeting to make the request to hope it gets approved, so that next quarter we could kick it off, so that I could get the funding, so that I could requisition all this stuff. You lose the fun. And so for us, keeping it fast, having an idea and being able to act on it, having that actionability and that mobility.
It's like less red tape.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of, we were talking about bicycles. Half the fun of a bicycle is the get up and go.
Yeah.
There's no traffic. You could go on a sidewalk. You could go on a road. You could cut through this. You could run through this. You could do that. You are empowered to be a one-man wrecking crew to get to where you want to be as fast as you can by your tool. And it just so happens that the company that we have, HYTE, is an incredible conduit for innovation. I think that, I don't know what it's going to look like in 5 years when we're much larger, but the fact that we've been able to get to the size that we are now, and it's still snappy, and we still have that ability to take risks and not be worried about losing things. A lot of the competitors
are actually having you as the focus. That's
I've seen on some Facebook profiles.
I think when they look at us, they've got their eyes crossed. Exactly. It's not completely in focus.
Certain people on certain Facebook profiles have said that, man, you give them nightmares.
That means I'm doing my job right.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well done.
I don't, it's this industry, especially when you're small, the companies try to act like your family, which I don't believe. I think we're a team. A team needs to be mobile and agile and winning. And if that team is not winning, there's no family whatsoever, because no one would be getting paid and no one would be able to stick around. So for me, I'm extremely competitive. I'm here to win. I'm here to beat you if you are my competitor. And if you are my customer, I'm here to serve you and give you the best support, hospitality, service experience possible. Because the way that I beat customers is by impressing users.
And you have that background. I mean, all that sales training you had from HYTE making gobs of money and learning how to deal with, that type of responsibility, and then moving to Dell and all these other places. You've learned how to serve the customer. Now you're doing that at scale.
The thing, I basically run things with my business partner, Jeff Chang, and he was also with me at HYTE. And he was at iBuyPower when I was at NCXT. So we both got that feeling of what does winning actually feel like? Something I've noticed with a lot of the people that I've worked with or have worked with, the biggest consistency in people who have struggled to be successful is that they've never felt what it feels like to be the winner. They felt little wins, like
they have to
report
to someone.
Your
work gets scrutinized.
You feel proud because you met the quota this quarter, or you were part of a company like ASUS or some big conglomerate. They won. But have you ever personally kicked ass so hard under so much adversity and so much doubt to only come back and be like, I told you. That sounds so ego-driven the way I just said it. But it instills something in you, which is a certainty of your taste and your decision-making and the direction that you want to be taking. I don't think many people in our industry have ever felt that. And I think that's part of the reason why AI feels so bullshit in our industry is most of the people who are propelling the messaging forward have not done anything great with AI themselves. They just got handed down from R&D to product to marketing to sales to, you know.
A lot of the stuff that I've experienced so far, they haven't even like really experienced it and actually learned from it. It was announced like say Friday and it was launched on Monday. Okay. Didn't even have time to.
Do you know how this thing works? Can you show me something cool that you did with it? No. I just no.
I don't know. They're passing the buck. And that's why there's so much opportunity around it.
Yeah.
Because they want proof of work that you can do great things with it. It's why artists get so catered by Adobe when the AI thing comes out, because they're like, we built this thing. What can we do with it? Because they don't know.
Absolutely.
They were confused if it was truly that great, they wouldn't need the artist to demo it for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is the key to AI is how can we make it in such a way that people truly have that democratization and ease of use, right? Because right now, even the companies that put it out, Adobe, I know. Like I watch all these Adobe creator things that they do, the big conference in LA. I'm like,
hey, remember those little gadgets that they used to sell in Japan, Tamagotchi? They got the AI versions of those now. You can create a little thing in the virtual world, and it'll grow, and you nurture them, and it'll do weird random things. That's what they're doing.
So that is the epitome of AI. That is like is AI. That's the bar. It's been set really low.
It's
you got to feed them.
I think you'll probably be able to do a supercut of just me summing up why I don't dislike it. I play around with it. When I get stuck, I'll have it try to make things. I'll use it to write a little bit of copy, and then I'll look at the copy and be like, that sucks. It should be like this. And that's how I use AI.
Yeah.
But I think the real problem with depending on AI to make you some genius expert is you don't know what questions to ask, and you don't know what adversity you're going to come up on.
Yeah.
And the AI can't really tell you, because the AI is going to tell you how everybody else did it. Because that's how the training data works. And part of the reason why I'm so good at this is behind me, I have people who also believe we could do things we're not supposed to do. Mm-hmm. If everyone behind me told me the way that they've done it and the way they're supposed to do it and the way that it's expected to be done, I would be homeless. I would have no, there would be no innovation. There would be no ability for me to do anything new or fresh or differently, because I would be considered an idiot for doing things wrong, and wasting money.
That's right, because AI is only as smart as the data that you put in.
Yeah,
it won't randomly be suddenly.
It won't be brilliant.
But even if it did, even if AI was brilliant, if you built some savant AI that bucks the trend and can see 10 years into the future because it's got access to everybody's Instagram and Reddit history and what they said privately in Facebook Messenger. And it's got all the insights, everything you couldn't possibly know. It's got behind its firewall, and it can generate a genius idea. You would look at that idea and be like, I don't know how to do that. No one's going to do it for me.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get funding to do that. So it suffers from the same problem that I suffer from.
Yeah.
And so unless you're going to have the full ability to make the query and it shits out a widget, it's not super useful right now.
It's too early.
Yeah. If you can't execute the idea that it gives you, it's just like I'm having pain.
I can tell you right now, like I spent a week in China, and that's all built on relationships that are over a decade long. And I asked factories to do things that are very difficult and very expensive, and that could mean rebuilding half of their factory to do it for our product. Yeah. And if I ever said it was the AI, I got the idea from AI, isn't that cool? Isn't it cool? They would be scared, and they would be worried, and they would be reducing their investment in me
Has to come from you as the relationship was built.
Yeah.
The relationship.
Until
right.
the AI is somehow considered superior to the human's ability to be a free thinker, it's a liability to say that.
Yeah.
You know what? The story sounds very familiar. A certain Johnny Ho told me exactly the same story.
Really?
When he went to build the first, the first Gundam-looking cases, the Optimus Prime cases. He was told by the factory, no.
Yeah.
And he had to teach them how to do it. And then he had to rejig everything to make it happen.
And you have to put your personal reputation on the line. Yeah. Every difficult thing I make, it is a risk to my reputation. But it's also a risk to my reputation if I put out something that's easy and it sucks. Absolutely. And so I would always be rather... I think that there's a little bit of bias by doing things impossible. I think that guarantees you some amount of sales that you wouldn't be guaranteed if you did something a little boring.
Yeah. And that's actually, we heard a similar story from Kenny Lin as well too.
I do think that this is a very CEO type thinking.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
But the problem is how stacked is your deck below that CEO.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my competitors' decks are not as stacked as ours. We have some incredible people.
Yeah, you're doing some like we mentioned. You give people nightmares. You really do. And you're doing the job right.
After we launch, though, my team only has dreams.
That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
It's like having dreams in a job is actually great. The fact that you can execute them potentially tomorrow is like even better.
It's like if you were out of shape and you had to go play basketball in the Olympics, that sounds like a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
That sounds like a public embarrassment surrounded by supposed peers, and you're out of shape and you can't keep up and you don't have any good ideas and you can't execute. I think that's how most people are in our industry.
Yeah.
And no one on my team is like that.
Well, you're a very good CEO in that case.
Not yet. Product director,
but you still call the shots. And winning is a team effort. And like you said, everyone on that team realizes that it's not a family thing. You go down. You all go down if the team doesn't play together well.
Yeah.
And that's so important. And this goes into and I'm so glad you're not one of the 8th place trophy people. You actually want to win, and you know the difference.
Like Gary.
If I were getting 8th place trophies, they'd be the most expensive 8th place trophies to be had. Like, the best part about people who generally get 8th place trophies is they didn't cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
I spend too much money to get 8th place.
But you also know what it feels like to lose as well, too. I think that's also very important as well, too, because like you said, every time that you take a flyer out there, it's either going to work or it's going to be coming back on you, right? Luckily, you have more wins than losses, but knowing how to lose and pick up everything and go back out there is very important.
I mean, the amount of time I've lost, lots of times, and you pick yourself back up and you go for it again.
We also have a school system right now that actually rewards winning out down to 8 places, but they never teach you how to lose and accept how to pick up the pieces. They never teach
picking up for sure. I think people, when you're young, you think you're destined for greatness because you're figuring out your first person view of the world and wow, how come they do things so silly? How come they're so dumb? How come why is it like this? Why is it like that? Why can't it be like this? And then you hit high school and puberty and attention changes and you get a car. And
distractions?
It's sort of and then I don't want to say become subservient to your distractions, but you become more comfortable not being exceptional. And I think the world is built around sort of coddling that because it's profitable. But I think that there's not a whole lot other than inspirational quips on Instagram and Twitter that are supposed to get you to light up your life and throw off through your regimen and just say, like, fuck it, I'm going to completely try something new. And if that sucks, I can always go back and do it the other way. Everybody's like, I can't afford to have this get worse. That mentality is like so sad.
You are CEO mentality. Seriously, I heard the story more than once. One of them came from Kenny up here in your industry. Like literally, it's the same thinking that he had.
Yeah, they
He told me.
I don't know why that's so
Yeah.
uncomfortable for me to hear. It's not a slight on him.
It's not a slight. It's like
It's just like, I think CEOs get a bad rap, and I think CEOs, especially right now, have a bad rap. Something I talked with Steve Burke a little bit about is he's had this concern that after he has X amount of employees, it means that he's going to be in like manager mode.
Yeah.
And that means he's not going to be as hands-on, and then the organization becomes inflated, and he can't possibly have his hands in all the things that he does. I don't completely agree with that. I believe you could build out a structure and an organization so long as you instill those beliefs and you can train the team and get them aligned. But that's not the view, I think, of CEOs. Maybe before Elon went like completely off the deep end. But we've got some really shitty CEOs setting the rep for like how a CEO should
they make
be.
everyone look really bad.
Maybe you guys shareholders to answer to.
I think that's the other.
Yeah.
I think public company CEOs are really the big problem, right?
Yeah.
They're the only ones you ever hear of. If a company's private, you don't hear shit about their CEO.
No.
And those are the guys who are probably making the biggest differences in the world. They're probably making money hand over fist, selling parts and products to the public companies to be able to make their things, to be able to go and tell the shareholders that they made more money.
Well, you know what? I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm just.
It's always a pleasure to talk to Rob because he gives you an insight of what's going on.
He makes
what's
it
happening.
okay for the next generation because there is leadership coming up that looks like this.
Yeah, it's
Right?
not
It's
all
great.
leadership is like from A to B to. It's not like a step ladder. Of course, it can be if you want it to be, but you could be more like Rob.
Yeah.
You know, you cannot just like.
Can I send my son to intern with you guys?
You could, but you got to sign a big waiver.
Oh.
My boss, his son is now working for me. And that dynamic is a little bit interesting.
Okay.
But in the same vein, it's made me more cognizant of like, who am I rubbing off on?
Yeah.
And how am I coming off right now? And could I be more cognizant of how I say this? Always.
Yeah.
Always. I definitely don't come into the room the nicest guy. I come into the room letting people know what's urgently necessary to be taken care of. And that doesn't always come off in the nicest, kindest way. And my focus is that's my shortcoming, and that's where I want to get better. So maybe if you send me your son, I could become a nicer, happier guy.
No, he needs some discipline.
Okay. That's a much cheaper package.
Good.
I got that. I got inventory on that one already. So lots of FGI.
All right. Well, I think we've covered the AI. We've seen some really great innovation coming
That's
from
right.
your side, especially because your team can dream. I can't wait to see what these dreams become in the next year or so, and maybe the next COMPUTEX.
They
Do you have
definitely
any-
compound. Like
anything in the cloud that's kind of about to rain on us?
software is my big focus right now.
Okay.
We're looking to hire more full stack engineers. Really, I mean, it's hard to not let software become shit. Like software
yes,
is
true.
Software
So
is
true.
really
living
important.
organism
It
that's
is.
running on a living organism. Like Windows changes, drivers change, hardware changes. Plus, we have new products that launch. We have features to deliver. There's tech debt that's always inherent when you're trying to launch stuff to the market. We're looking to keep that as good as it can be, and it's very difficult. It's not like a Y70 where we made it, we can manufacture them. Let's ship 100,000, and next year you ship another 100,000. Software is this living, breathing thing. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
a big deal.
continual like firmware upgrades or software upgrades and, stuff like that.
And the users are ruthless. It's like if they don't get the update when they think they need the update, or if they have an issue and it's like they're 1 out of 25,000 people who had the issue, or there's 4 out of 25,000 people, and we're trying to tackle this other existential crisis. It's like, oh, they've abandoned us.
Then they go on social and they just go, oh yeah,
Brutal.
you know,
It's
this-
brutal, but it
Hey,
also
Go
it's-
easy.
No, I mean, it sets the tone, right? Like I get to go to my boss and say, hey, it's important, and he can't wait. And I'm like, no, the public perception changes. It's just a fact of life. And
Certain companies,
Yeah, certain ones that have to walk things back and walk things back out again.
Yeah.
Saying that nice. Yeah.
yeah,
We know
some
what they
people
are.
with the warranty.
those are mostly public companies.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god!
But that's great. You're really tuned with the users, and that's really good.
I want good products, and you got to put it out to get it. Otherwise, why would you think you are deserving of it?
And I think the key too is that you said this last year is that you want to build things that you want as well too.
Absolutely.
And that's so important. The experience, the customer service. I mean, hey, it's a whole package.
I really think it's a psychological thing where it's like part of the reason people have imposter syndrome is they don't think they're worthy of great things. When you're building truly great things, you feel worthy. You're like, I deserve this. It's a very egotistical way to kind of be zen with the universe, but it works for me.
It is clearly working.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, on behalf of Winston and myself, thank you so much, Rob, for being part of our podcast at COMPUTEX in Taipei. It's always great to talk to you again, and I feel so much about COMPUTEX being kind of like that glimpse of the future, the dreams of the industry until it becomes a sales call at CES.
The fringe of the fringe.
Thank you. And
thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
and
so much.
Make sure that you hit up the HYTE website to realize some of your PC DIY dreams. They make some amazing stuff, things that you actually want to own. I mean, I finally got my hands on the Y70. I really enjoyed it.
You still need to build it.
What? I still need to build it.
That's all right.
I built mine already.
I tore it apart.
No, it's like having a TV show that you know you're gonna love and you haven't binged it yet. Like it's there. I'm excited.
It's
you haven't blown through it yet.
Talking about fans, they've actually created a fan page with HYTE, right? And users just put their HYTE built PCs on there for everyone to see. The amount of creations and unbelievable.
Which
mine's on there as well.
I mean, like I said, I want to attract the types of users that are going to make us look good, and you do that by giving them the most quality experience possible. So very appreciative of them.
You're going to teach my kids how to build a PC with your case. That's all that's going to happen.
I think if you give your kids my case, they're going to have their own thoughts about what they want to be doing with that. They're going to put it together, and I think if I try to tell them, they'd be like, great.
No, leave it.
Thanks, computer guy.
Design something yourself.
Yeah, I already got your thing. You did your part. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You just bought. That's your job. You buy it. I'll use
Okay.
it.
Daddy, just here, buy it. Yeah.
You got on the Linus Tech Tip screwdriver too, right?
I think I'm going to go to Home Depot. Maybe a Mega Pro.
Those LTT screwdrivers, not to hawk LTT screwdrivers, but those are fantastic screwdrivers.
I think they're Mega Pros.
They're
With a twist.
So there's a guy on YouTube, I can't remember his name, but he tests all these tools. He ripped them apart.
That's right,
The guy talks real fast like this. And his reviews are incredible. He thought that it was also Mega Pro, and he took it apart. They're similar, but they're not the same.
Oh. Okay.
Could you actually get me one?
What? I might have to use it.
Shipping should be cheaper to use.
That's true. I might have to just do a pop-up store thing. He does those
You can bring them down to CES. And
I got some cheap ones from Amazon. They work.
All right. Until next time. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Rob. And we'll see you again in the next one.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.